I think it's always nice as the year comes to an end to sit back and see where the year took you. I don't know about you guys, but 2025 was rough for me. Not even from like a worldly perspective, although it was definitely rough from that, just from like my own personal bubble. It had good ups, but the downs were really far down there. Probably like a lot of you, I look for some form of escapism, which is found a lot through various forms of media. Luckily for me, there were a lot of heavy hitters in 2025 that really shaped my year. So without further ado, here are some of my favorite games of 2025. This game honestly kind of blew me away. It was really unlike anything that I'd ever played before and incorporated elements of different genres to just create a crazy puzzle masterpiece. If you somehow still haven't seen anything about this game, Blueprints follows the player as you investigate a mysterious mansion that is essentially willed to you, provided you can find the 46th room. This is a surprise since the mansion only actually has 45 rooms, though the known rooms shift and change daily. You can't stay overnight and it doesn't save your progress. You only have so many steps in the day before you become exhausted and then it resets all over again. There are an insane amount of layers to this game. It is incredibly impressive. Every time I played, I found a new secret or a new item, and I had some incredible runs with amazing puzzles. Some were very challenging, but even the easier ones were still enough to give me a good sense of accomplishment when I completed them. Even after finding the final room, there is still so much that I need to solve and see, and I always love exploring Mount Holly. You can play this game on PlayStation 5, Steam, and the Xbox Series. Hell Is Us quickly became one of my favorite games of all time, and I am always surprised that it doesn't get more attention than it has, because I really think it deserves a lot. I think I enjoy essentially everything in this game, from the puzzles to the exploration to the story. I just really think every aspect is sandwiched together in such a nice way that everything lifts up the other. I know some people don't necessarily love the combat since it is relatively basic, but I don't mind that. Sometimes I just want something that's straightforward, and there's enough variety for me between weapon types and enhancements to keep the combat engaging and fun. Hell Is Us is a really grim portrayal of the effects of war and how humanity both acts and reacts. I think it's a very poignant story with very interesting characters and an incredible world. I know that the gameplay and style isn't for everyone. It is really proud of the fact that it doesn't hold your hand, minus limited tutorial messaging, but I love that. It is what drew me to the game in the first place. I enjoy the actual freedom of exploration and backtracking and conversations, and then kind of filling in the story as I go. It's a really fun way to escape and play, and this is honestly exactly what I needed and what I was looking for. Hell Is Us is available on PlayStation 5, Steam, and the Xbox Series. This was one of those games that ended up being a very happy find. I was just looking for some good co-op games to play on Game Pass since I wanted to take advantage of all of the games on there and I needed some way to justify the price. We had burned through quite a bit of them at this point, but I finally settled on Revenge of the Savage Planet as our next pick. I didn't actually even know this was a sequel. Luckily, it seems to stand on its own legs a bit without really needing any knowledge of the first game. So this ended up being one of our favorite things to play every night. We definitely enjoyed the satire and the tongue-in-cheek humor that is honestly present in every single aspect of the game, whether it's dialogue or environmental descriptions. It's one of those games that obviously doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's also way more fun to play co-op in my opinion. This isn't some deep 11 out of 10 amazing game. The story is fine, the banter is witty, the combat is basic, but the exploration and the time spent just going through the ridiculousness that this game has to offer is where it really shines in my opinion. Even the little extra things that we did and worked hard to find, we completed the game 100% because we were just having a great time in the world, and it makes a space in my year that was just full of a lot of fun memories. Friendship is, the real treasure after all. Revenge of the Savage Planet is available on the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and PC. Another great co-op title. I love how many co-op and multiplayer games there were this year, and Hazelight Studios put out another great game with Split Fiction. I love to both read and write, so when this game was first announced, I was very excited to play it. Even better because I love both science fiction and fantasy, and those were the genres of each character's story. It was perfect. Mio and Zoe and myself are aspiring writers who inadvertently get trapped in a machine that is created by the ultimately evil publisher company, but I love the way that these games approach co-op. It is very fun to have a split screen playthrough, but it's made even better when the game itself really plays with how the split screen environments are. The endgame sequence and the things they do with colliding worlds is just so insanely fun, and it felt appropriately chaotic and was just very impressive from like a technical and visual standpoint. This is ultimately a story of personal healing and growth and learning to lean on and trust in each other, and just like Hazelight's other games, there's tons of meaning and lessons in between the silly fun. Split Fiction is available on PlayStation 5, PC, and the Xbox Series. You all know that I love a good mystery. Getting to be a detective is so much fun. This one was on my radar for a good long while. First off, a mystery? Check. A story that is filled with Irish folklore and mythology? Check. You get to snoop and get hot gossip on the very interesting characters? Check. The Seance of Blake Manor is a lovely and haunting folk horror detective game that quickly became one of my favorite titles. I do love the subject matter and the setting. It is all incredibly intriguing, and rather than it being like genuinely scary, the game has an overall supernatural and haunted vibe. From the washerwoman that you see at the fountain upon your arrival to items being knocked over even though no one is there. It is amazingly spooky and has the absolute perfect vibes of like a dark and stormy night. It has wonderful detective mechanics with the mind map system, allowing you to form hypotheses and deductions with evidence gathered through careful investigation, eavesdropping, or snooping through guest belongings. Honestly, I did fail a couple of times because I was so distracted by the depth of characters and world building that my insatiable curiosity got the better of me more than once, I am ashamed to admit, and I forgot that I was actually like, on a schedule here. I'm trying to solve a mystery. It is honestly a fantastic, rich, beautifully woven world with a great supernatural mystery that I am determined to actually solve. The Seance of Blake Manor is available on PC, and there is a demo currently available on Steam. This was a tough game to play. It was a beautifully emotional narrative that focused on a story told through the eyes of Annie, an elderly woman who suddenly has her world thrown sideways as she battles with Alzheimer's. As Long as You're Here is one of those stories where you feel so incredibly connected to the journey because that was the reason for the game's creation. It was somebody dealing with their emotions and going through this as a coping mechanism. When someone is making a game about subject matter that they themselves have experienced, you can feel everything come through in such a profound way, and that is what I felt in this game. I've had family members with Alzheimer's, so this game was kind of difficult for me to get through because it was just so easy to imagine my family in Annie's shoes. The way it presented the disease was very subtle and oddly beautiful in a way that was slow, that just made you seem a little forgetful. And then it ramped up. Started slow, but then you were rapidly losing days, months, even decades as the years and events began to blur together. I felt lost and confused and sad, and ultimately grateful for the memories that I was able to hang on to. It was a really beautiful experience, even though I basically just sat and cried through the credits. As I've said before though, these emotional games are needed in my opinion, and this was a really impactful and beautiful tribute. As Long As You're Here is available on Steam. This was my big anticipated title of the year. I loved Ghost of Tsushima when it first came out, got my first ever platinum trophy, and then I did it again when I upgraded PlayStation 5. When Ghost of Yotei was announced, I was so excited for another journey in the world that Sucker Punch created. I didn't care that it wasn't a continuation of Jin's story. In fact, I preferred it that way. I think Jin's story was very nicely wrapped up, and I don't think we needed a part 2 for him necessarily. I was very excited to start a new journey with Atsu, and it was was even better because the game released on my birthday, so it was honestly just like the icing on the cake of my excitement. I was really happy with the way that Sucker Punch expanded on ideas, and there were things that felt familiar yet still evolved, new iterations of the same ideas. I enjoyed the new features that were added, but there were things that I missed about Ghost of Tsushima. I couldn't figure out what it was until I beat Ghost of Yotei, but I think it was the feeling I had in Jin's story versus Atsu's. I loved both of them, but I think I connected more with Jin's story. There is something about the internal fight between what you have always done and what you need to do to grow that resonated with me more than Atsu's story of revenge did. But man, this game is gorgeous. I loved exploring every inch of the map, and I really did. I ran along the edges of mountains until I was sure I could go no further, and I platinumed this game too. While I enjoy the stories, I think the world itself is what ends up making me love these games even more. I learn things, I get to connect with different characters who all feel like they have tremendous depth and personalities, and I get to explore beautiful and varied environments. I spent a long time in the world of Yotei, and I am looking forward to seeing whatever adventure they cook up next. Ghost of Yotei is available on PlayStation 5. Probably shocking to no one that it is at least included on this list, but Clair Obscur Expedition 33 was immaculate to me. I loved this game. I connected with it immediately. It reminded me of old games that I loved, like Lost Odyssey, so there was an immediate nostalgic connection. I was immediately in love with the characters and the environmental design. Obviously, the soundtrack is just banger after banger, but the story is unique and layered. There is a lot of depth hidden within this game, and it felt like I was reading a book in the best way possible. Each area has its own design and history. Each party member shows incredible emotion when you're chatting and learning their backstories. There's twists and mystery hidden in the pages of the adventure, and of course we cannot forget the voice actors who work magic in this game. This is truly a game where you can feel the passion from everybody that worked on it, and that is the reason that this game resonated with me so much. I love storytelling, I love world building, but you only really feel things when the people in charge of the creation put their heart and soul into the game, and I feel that every step of the way here. I highly recommend this game, obviously. It is turn-based combat, very reliant on a parry and dodge system, or at least I was very reliant on the parries, but it's because I could actually perform them in this game, so I was taking advantage of my skill, and sometimes the timing of everything is frustrating, but I am not looking for easy wins every single time I turn a corner. It is nice to be challenged when the challenge is coming from the game itself and not from shitty mechanics. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is available on PlayStation 5, PC, and the Xbox Series. There were so many good games that released this year, and there are so many that are still on my wish list that I desperately want to play and experience. High up there are Dispatch and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to snag those, but I am looking forward to playing more games from 2025 because there were just so many good ones. You may not agree with some things on my list, but that is totally okay. These are just my opinions. These are the games that shaped my year. I never said that they were all 10s, but they were all great times and great experiences for me as I went through the craziness of 2025. Thank you all for sticking with me, and as always, I will see you in the next video.